Still no sleep, but I'm somewhat functional, I guess. All right, to the Turks. My plan was to launch an attack. So we're going to declare war on the Byzantines. Do we want to? We could do a... yeah, we want to. We want to do this now rather than take a chance again with a later. All right, this generates some stuff right away. So first of all, this becomes contested, and this becomes contested. The Byzantines aren't very big. They're going to get, we'll take the naval first. We're going to generate 2 boats. Now, this had better create a cube. I can't remember. See, it's stuff like that. It's the little nitpicky stuff that's very hard to remember because it doesn't necessarily seem absolutely, you know, tied. I mean, I fight a battle, I get a cube, you know. If no battles were triggered, you immediately take an activated at no cost. Let's check in battles. Maybe it's there. I think it is. I'm looking for when do I get that bonus point? I think it's if I fight a battle and win. But here we are, land battles. Proclaiming a winner, yeah. So it doesn't matter that I didn't do an activate action specifically. Okay. Let me just make sure I don't have something that I'd want to play here. I don't have anything. I have the inspired leadership for a land battle, but I don't have an admiral. Well, so don't have is a weird situation, right? Yeah, I don't have an admiral. They'd have to have naval cubes. So let's pick my dice. These are all going to be Navy dice. And this is all galleys. So we got to look galleys up. I think they just work like normal light ships, except they're cheap. Hits on a firepower, yeah. Okay. And you get three Navy dice, just like you get 3 land dice. Unlike the land dice, there are less in the game. So let me make sure. So there's like 6 land dice, regular land dice in the game. Let me just make sure that, because I've made mistakes on other things. Yeah. Oh, artillery dice. That's okay. I guess land battles are going to be small, are going to be larger in general. But for ships, I have 3 galleys, so I could get 3 hits. Only cannons hit. I got 2. That's going to kill both of these. They also get 3 dice coming back at me. And they hit twice. So 2 of these are going to be gone. But the question is, did I get a capture? If you have ships and have eliminated... Oh, shit. I have to keep an eye out for those things. I don't think I got any. So these guys just die. And I have to keep this in a fleet. I get a cube, the one I paid for the war. I will not get another one here, though, when I'm attacked. Now, I have an artillery, which means 1 cube will get me Constantinople. Interesting. But let me think about my leadership situation. I'm considering throwing him in with his 3 artillery dice added in. I think I will. I will make him the ruler general. Okay. And it has to go here because it's got to be assigned to an army. And then we grab dice. I'm not going to play anything else. So I get all these dice. And I got enough easily to kill all of this. On their side, they managed to do 2 hits to my army. I don't want to lose cavalry. Oh, no, I don't get any cav dice. I don't want to lose any cavalry because they're a little bit more expensive. So I'll take my losses in infantry, and those go into the exhausted. The boats do not. I won another battle. Can't capture troops. But I don't get a cube for that. I also don't get to launch my siege at this point. So that's that. And there were no casualties on this one. Faster, the French built a spy network. Their big choice was that they want to pass. Passing now means the English can't attack them. But, you know, I'd kind of like to see, well, if the English lose their war, you know. Okay, so I fucked up with my thinking with the Spaniards. I can't subjugate them. I have a total tax income of 12 with the Spanish. Aragon has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I need to have twice as much to turn them into a vassal. So I may simply not be able to vassalize them, which sucks with regard to this. Because I can't just vassalize part of it. Okay, I have to rethink my plans then entirely. Because I have a little bit of an army. I could spend to recharge troops, but then I probably can't do anything. I could launch a war on Granada down here. They have a single small port, so they would get, you know, a 1-point boat to face my 1-point boat. What I think I want to do is I want to do a trade mission because that might let me move my boats around. Spanish side of things, I drew 2 cards. One of them is Genoa and Seville for fish. This is not the one I'm going to take, but both of which I could fire off. Seville's here, Genoa's there. Oh, that's Cueta. Okay. So that was what I was missing. I couldn't figure out where Cueta was. I knew it was Spanish-ish. I thought it was actually on the Iberian Peninsula, but I looked at everything there. But yeah, okay. This ends up having lower values, so I'm less interested in it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my boat out of the Granada area. I could move it. I could move both of them here in order to fight Granada, but that would take my free move away, and I want my free move when I go to war. Okay, I think. I drop him over, and now I have Seville, Madrid, Cordoba, and Burgos, all of them. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7 for the merchant. That gets me a maximal value, which, since it's not upgraded, is going to be $9. Pretty good payoff. Nobody else is involved in it because no one else has a merchant there. That's my reading, is that they have to have a merchant. Otherwise, would anybody be involved? No. I see a lot of, red stuff around there, but none of it generates trade income. We're in kind of an annoying situation. I have leaders. I could place a general if I wanted to, and I think I tried before. But I also have the harbor refugees. Damn it. That would allow me to spend an administrative cube to get a military leader from here, and maybe a better one than I could get otherwise. Or maybe just get an advisor, which would be okay. So Robert has 2 dice. He would be a pretty good leader. I could conceivably send good old Henry VI there. It's not that bad an idea, because I have better leaders in my hand that could replace him. Somebody like Brody or whatever his name is. So it's not a terrible choice there. So yeah, let's try to figure this out. We have already declared war. Now I spend a military cube to build my army. And what do I want my army to be? Well, he only adds infantry dice, so anything but infantry seems silly. I'm allowed to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's adjacent. I believe 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't have 9. 2. So this would cost me $12. Let's build it. There's my money. And yes, we did this before. There's my money. Put a general on the board. Here. By raising those troops, that's going to trigger a fight with the people I'm at war with. I am going to take my ruler and make him the general there. That gets me an extra die. And so there will be 2 dice. I declare this. I have all my armies deployed. There's nothing fatigued. So that will immediately get me a claim or an alliance with Ireland. Can't think of much of an alliance that I can get with Ireland. The alliance would be with one of the Irish states, and there's 3 little states there. Screw it. I'm just claiming the territory. You're not putting a claim on one province. You're claiming the entire area. And I can get a claim or 2 cubes in Scotland. Now, there's not room for 2 cubes in Scotland, and I don't remember whether or not I can expand things, but me, I like claims. Okay. I get 1. I'm on the board. And anything else? Okay. That's all there is there, and I really should shut the camera off when I'm wandering around like this. Okay. So I succeeded in 1, and I'm about ready to succeed in another, I think. So not quite, because nothing new happened. I didn't enter a new sea zone or anything like that. So I'm going to be facing 2 units. I'm going to need a shitload of dice. Just white dice. Could get Henry killed. That wouldn't be hard. Okay. And what do I have? I have 3 plus 1 is 4 dice. I'm going to roll them over here. This is going to get too crowded at some point. 4 dice. Okay, I get 3.5 hits. I do not have tercios. So I got 3 hits. I have killed them. They'll take 3 dice. And they hit me with 3 hits, but only 2 of them can happen. So they put that there. They only got 1 of these. If they'd gotten a pair of them, they would have killed Henry. I have succeeded at a battle, so I get a cube. And I just built my troops there. Now they're established, unless I move out. And I could leave an infantry behind in order to maintain a garrison there. I think that's all I'm doing with the English. So we will shift to Austria. Austria's got a problem. One that I noticed a little bit ago. You know, I've been bothering with all kind of other things. I still have a lot of military cubes, so it's not too terrible. But I have a disputed succession in Hungary. If I don't go to war there, I lose 3 prestige. So, probably going to be thinking about trying to do that. I can't think of a reason why I didn't trigger this. I set myself up for it. I took something that got me, what was it, the Hungarian marriage or whatever, that got me this one, right? Or did I screw up and grab the wrong one? Is that what happened here? That's quite possible. Do I have a tax income of 11? I do not. I grabbed the wrong one, I'm guessing. Except that I screwed up and I played a claim. So I've got to look up. I think I do not have a claim here. I grabbed the wrong one and played its event out. So I think that's supposed to be there. Let me look at, it's right here. This. So, influence Royal Hungary has 2 that's on the board already. And there's a royal marriage with Hungary. Is there a claim? Ooh. So why do I have a claim in one of these? I think I had a claim in the one that I didn't have a marriage. I think I had it in the Royal Hungary, but I don't know for sure. I may have cheated to put that claim there. Wait, I'm not seeing any claims though. Hold on. Because I have a claim in Bohemia too. It says relations. I don't know what got me what. I gotta look at other cards and see if anything makes sense. Okay, so the board was actually correct. The Hungarian card gave me both these claims. This other claim, I'm assuming I'm low on diplomacy. I'm assuming that that's what I played to get that. What about any of these? Are any of these interesting to me? Oh boy. Have in 2 of these. Naples, Lombardy. I need to have a claim or an alliance. I have a claim in Bohemia, which was a reason to do that. And I probably wanted one in like Prussia or somewhere else. Okay. So let's take a look. We did the secure elections, and we're declaring it now. We have the most influence in 3 of Rhineland, Westphalia, and Saxony, etc. Okay. And now our gain for that is a point. And this is where I'm torn, is I'm like, well, wait a minute. We've got 2 points. Ugh. Was the Hungarian thing worth 2? The Hungarian would be worth 2 if we accepted a Hungarian monarch, but we insisted on restoring, which would have given us 1. And remember, I had moved one of these, so I think I moved that forward already. So that was not correct. That needed to be moved forward 1 more. But I get a claim in the elector area where you have, in an elector area where you have cubes. That may be why I'm in Bohemia. But then what did I do for diplomacy? Fuck. I'm going to leave it as is. I believe this is correct. I just grabbed the wrong one. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. I grabbed the wrong card, but implemented them correctly. Okay. So what the hell am I doing? I don't know. I'm going to swap batteries, and I got to think. because I gotta declare me a war, but I don't necessarily have to do it right away, but if I don't do it relatively quickly, I won't finish the war. But annoyingly, I only have 2 ducats in here. Now, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Yeah. But I'm not positive. This didn't cost us anything to play. We've got to, you know, understand the game state. We have to fix the game state, whatever the hell's wrong with it. This cost me 3. I had 15 to begin with, I believe. But I'm not saying that I have 12 left, because I didn't play any of these cards. Don't think I played either of those. I'm left with this. What did my money go for? Did I buy a lot of claims? Well, I have 6 of them on the board. I think I did. I think I decided I wasn't going to be fighting. This is not good. So I screwed up, and I'm going to leave it as a screw up. Well, I need money. Fugger! Okay, let's see if there's anything here that gets me some cash. Not really. All right, we're going to take a crapshoot on a trade, because I don't think diplomacy is going to do me any good. I got us a grand total of $2. There was nothing to here. Now, I can't even, like, you know, I couldn't do something like, oh, gee, I have a trade card for France. You sometimes see this in some games. Hey, I'll play you that trade card if you give me money. You can't exchange money under normal circumstances. I would have to take the action, negotiate with another player, and that would cost me a diplomacy cube. And now I'm out. But also, it would also take my action. And actions are running kind of short. I'm more worried. In a way, I'm more worried about them. I can take out a bunch of loans. The Austrians historically did stuff like that. And that'll put me over to Poland, and damned if I know what Poland's up to. It's up to triggering their recovery from Varna. I have no administrative points left, so my central authority is not going to get played. My spy networks, I could play them, but this seems more valuable. Is there something I would want to do with my military? Oh. Build some units. Okay. So, what we want to do is forge an alliance. This will cost me half a target's income, but I need 2 cubes in their area. Do I want to ally with the Hungarians and end up at war? Or do I want to ally with someone else? Okay, right now I don't have the points to ally with anyone except the Lithuanians, who I'm already allied with. I might have been able to place my cubes more cleverly. Looking around, I think all the territory that I was allowed to play cubes in is actually Lithuanian or mine. So, I want to add an influence, I guess. I have a decent amount of money. I'm going to need to forge an alliance. I'm going to need a number of cubes equal to half the target's tax income. which means I can go for a 1 or a 2. And that's it. Bohemia looks too expensive. Hungary is definitely too expensive. I got me a problem. Because I have to pay a cube to do the diplomacy functionality. And I can use money for the rest of it. But I can't play over in here. That's out of play. And in order to do diplomacy, there has to be at least 2 cubes already in the area. And that's not in order to forge the alliance. So I think I'm SOL. I think Austria is SOL too, but in a different sort of way. The Polish goal, if I can remember it when I come back, is to go to war with Prussia. Because I don't see any way that I can do my administrative action. Or not administrative, but my diplomatic gains at this point. And I would like to get the points. This gives me 2 options, one of which is very obvious. Get a couple of galleys in the Baltic Sea and a claim somewhere adjacent to it, which could be very powerful. It could start turning Poland into a maritime power. The other option, the historical one, is to research noble knights for 3 warfare. Noble knights is not available here. That's kind of weird. You get like bonus cav dice for everyone, and your cav costs 4 each, which I think is a buck higher, but I'm not sure. And I gotta flip, random flips. See what I find. Regular cav costs 5. So it would reduce the cost of my cav, and it would make them more effective, where I get an extra die per cav unit that I have in there, an extra cav die. That makes cav really, really potent. Now, what is the value of cav outside of that? Not much, to tell you the truth. If you don't have, they're worse at siege. If you don't have a reason to buy cav, like the Poles would in this case, they're not a great purchase, right? But you may have a reason in the sense that, like, oh look, Casimir has a cav die already, you know, and maybe I have noble knights, and maybe I'm potent at that. Okay. So I don't have a real use for my dip, so I am going to trade. My chances of a trade being successful are very low. I think I only have those 2 areas possibly available to me. Could be wrong. Maybe there's something I can reach. I'm just looking around. So like Novgorod's out of play. These guys I have to have boats to get to. They're kind of hard to see inland, but there's like one here, but I would have to be adjacent to that, and I'm not. Austria is protected from me by several spaces. I don't see one in Hungary, so I don't think I have another trade option other than the 2 that show. But we shall see. Lubeck, Baltic Sea, yeah, that's close. Looks like I get myself $2. I might have done it for $2 anyway. And the point is, if I could get my trader in, it would be a land trade. It would come with all kinds of value attached to it, in terms of like, a lot of times those towns will have a plus or whatever, so they'll be double value towns. So That would be an effective use. And now I move this back. You know, it feels like you're going to run down because you're out of cards or whatever, but cards aren't the delimiting factor. It's the damn cubes. This is a cube pushing game. All right. Well, it's a good thing because I stopped, you know, I cut the, I loaded up another video. I actually forgot about it completely. And like many hours later, after trying to do something on the computer, having to go to tech support at the site I was trying to deal with. And, anyway, got to chat with a bot because of it, which was better than with a human. It was actually, so like, if you've ever done tech support, you know, within an organization or whatever, this is not. They're usually on, not actually performing tech support necessarily, but work with someone on it. They're on some kind of timeline where they've got to process, you know, the intake people have to process so many calls so quickly, and they have to be really super friendly and all kind of other crap like that. But they basically have a rigid script that they follow, and you absolutely have to follow it. And even if you know that they're giving you bullshit, right? You know, if these are things you've already tried and whatever, you still have to at least pretend that you're doing them for them. But yeah, and I mean, the best thing would be like if you could just tell them, look, this needs to be escalated. You're not going to be able to handle it. Your scripts won't handle it. But I never had the strength of will to do that. But this was actually incredibly engaging. It did have its script, and it kept repeating it, parts of it, you know, with, well, maybe if this. But it also had some sort of AI behind it, or else a human intervening in it. But I don't think so, because, again, you know, if it had been a human on a chat line, on an IM about the issue, they would have gone through their script, and that's it, really. They would have, it would have been, hey, we're escalating to someone else. It would have been a delay, whatever. But this was very clearly not that. It was very clearly, the way the repetitions were would not have happened with a human. It was also sort of immediate responses, even if like I left things alone for a while, which was just really cool. You know, it was like I could come back and talk to it, and it would pick up the conversation exactly where I was, immediately typing a response. It was just beautiful. None of us are going to have jobs anymore, but anyway, excuse me. Well, I crashed hard due to lack of sleep and ended up falling asleep, I don't know, sometime around noon, and now it's, I don't know, after midnight. I had to play a little of my addiction before I could come up here. Somebody noted something that I'm missing, not in terms of, oh, you're, you know, fucking up the rules as usual, man, but just one of the actions on my big menu of actions. And when I have a whole bunch of different things that I can choose, do A, do B, do C type games, they tend to cause me problems because my mind fixates on what are the easy things, you know, what are the patterns? What are the patterns that I'm used to? And that's usually the right way to go. But what it means is, kind of like in SFB, when I would drag, you know, some weird obscure rule out, these aren't obscure, they're just less used. So when I look at a country and I say, I just don't have the cubes to do this, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm getting upset over nothing because there is a function that allows me to do that, which is the change national focus. Now, you generally skip it because, like in your thinking, well, if I'm not looking at the menu every time and considering every single case, it'll just pass out of my head. And there are things like this in empires of the Middle Ages, where there's actions that I'm just like, this is usually not useful. But I haven't played this enough to be right about, you know, those assumptions. So let's take a look at what that action does. When taking this action, you must perform it. You place a, you can only take it once per round, but you place a cube in the change national focus slot, and you're able to move 2 cubes. You're able to focus on one of your national monarch powers by moving a cube from each of the other powers into it. And it doesn't have to be both. And then you're allowed to discard action cards from your hand and replenish them. And then, wow, you may pay 1 monarch power and $2 to pick one of the new cards from the top 5 discards of the deck, matching the paid type. I mean, this is like this huge sort of reposition your hand ability that I just never really looked at enough. And I'm really glad somebody pointed this out to me because, yeah, it gives you a huge amount of flexibility with each of the countries. How much did I fuck up yet? I don't know. We'll see. I've got these. I might be able to continue on. The problem with it is I would have done a declaration of war on here and on these guys all at once, because you can declare war on any number of realms with that. Now that would have been problematic because it would have brought more navies into play against my fleet, and my fleet is not in good shape. I've got 1 light ship there as well. So yeah, maybe I couldn't have done it, you know. But if I get my fleet out of there. The other thing is, this city of the world's desire that I'd be trying to get to with this, and you know, I can get to it and not exchange this, but I won't want to exchange it, either of these, because they each come with you can get some technology cheaper if you have that. Why is my army so weak? Because I won the battle. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to just continue with what I was doing. I have the siege assault, but that's not really useful unless I want it to go over. Yeah, unless I wanted to siege a lot of stuff. Here I can siege Constantinople with only 1 cube. And that's what we're set up to do, and we will just do it. So now we flip to the siege action. And this is the thing, you know, some of the parts of the game I remember pretty well and I've internalized, but a lot of them I gotta look up each time. And unlike, you know, I'm thinking, sure, I had to look up a lot of stuff in the old EU, but most of it was once or in an era type of activity, and I would get used to it or something. But you know, the idea that, yeah, I'm not absolutely certain of that long sequence of events that happens in a declaration of war. And there's some danger that I will, you know, screw up, because as I start to internalize things, I think I've got everything, but I miss an important case, which is what happened before. So I almost feel like to play the game at all right, I have to rely absolutely on the God, now I'm trying to think of the word, not rule book. I do, but the procedural little recipes that go with each one, because they have to be followed completely. And there are a lot of modern games that feel that way. I'm not so sure, like it feels to me, but I don't know if it's familiarity and just, you know, some very commonalities that run through all the old war games that, you know, that maybe some of those would have to be played that way early on. I don't remember doing that, but I may have been sloppy, and I sure the hell wasn't exposing myself on camera. All right. Pick an area with 1+ controlled enemy provinces, calculate the total siege strength. So what I'm doing is I have a 2-point siege and a 2-point city, and I have to spend a cube for that. That I know. Okay, I think the only exciting thing here is how this gets replaced. So I do know how to do that. What I need is an occupied token. And one of these. And that's what I gain from it. And there's nothing else that I see there that I glimpse and say, hey, that has to be done differently. I don't think there's anything I need to play out of here. So I push this on. Oh boy. This would be a lot easier if I was able to just sit and play through it. Like, if it weren't for my addiction, sure. I don't have no job. I don't have nothing in my life. This could be my life. But yeah, the addiction is eating up time worse than anything else. So I think the French are actually going to try that action. Now, to some extent, they could just pass, and they have cubes everywhere. But I've got this military traditions card that I really would like to get played and out here. That feels like it would help me to a great deal. Now, again, I don't remember. What's my bonus? See, this is problematic. So there's this one set of cards, and it, you know, I mean, I'm playing solo, and you might think, well, it may not be a difficulty with everyone. I've got one card on the entire table that everybody has to share who puts markers on it. And that's going to be kind of difficult. Now, obviously, I think what we'll see is people making some player aids, and maybe they already exist, that'll be similar to Age of Renaissance sheets, where they tell you what all of these do, and little marks so that you can mark off that you have it, so that you know that you have that functionality. Having these on cards is actually probably better for a solo player, but with how big a table space this takes and where I put them, they're not necessarily very easy for me to check. So, you know, the French, I have to come over here and see, oh yeah, I have the Janissaries, and yeah, I get an extra hit off of those double hit markers. Sure, if you have a really good memory, but I can't even remember the, you know, and there's a lot of rules to remember. There's a lot of different little places where there's things to keep your mind occupied. It would be very, very easy to forget individual elements as to what you have, especially if you start building up a lot of these ideas, right? Which would happen over the course of a grand campaign. The game might actually be there might be too big a burden of those things for the grand campaign to even work. We'll see. I've already got questions about it because I don't see anything that sort of refreshes these ideas. Like if everybody has an idea, it ought to go away. Or sometimes ideas ought to kind of no longer be available, right? Like the Inquisition, at some point or another, at least if you don't have it, you're not going to get it. You know? Of course, Protestants probably aren't. I don't know. I don't know what it says. And here I am walking again, giving you this panoramic view. Luckily, I'm doing it a little slower than sometimes. Okay, convert, yeah, so anybody can have it. It's just a religious, so the man of the church doesn't help you, but it's a religious zeal that could help you convert Protestant to Protestantism. Okay, so let's go over what Change National Focus does then. I place a cube over in this little thing. And it's barely visible because of a combination of the lighting and the dark cubes. I increase one type of monarch power by up to 2, and I discard up to 3 action cards from my hand, adding them to the discard pile only after. Okay, that sounds interesting. It'll give me a chance to see some more cards, but I have to make this choice first. I'm going to just move 1 administrative over to military. My leader is not very good at diplomacy, and I can always do another diplomacy for a trade action, pull some more money in, although my chances of getting a successful trade, it could still be here. No, it couldn't, because I can't move my merchant in there. You're only allowed one merchant in each area. So yeah, I've already fired that one off. So my chances are low. Basically, I have these two merchant areas. I'm not at war with the English, so I could probably get there. Yeah, I'm in a pretty rich area in terms of lots of merchant. Think of how badly Poland is situated for doing trade. But these countries with the Western Ocean have certainly some sort of advantage in trade, which is nice. I like that. But where are we? Discard up to 3 action cards. Well, let's see what we want to discard. I have 2 of these study technologies. I'm not going to be able to do either one. I have these mercenaries. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to need this. $7 for 3 mercenaries. I don't remember how much mercenaries cost. It's like $2 more or something. Jesus. So we go to that very handy index. And, again, in the old game, if I had to look something up, it was, oh, look, I'm in a situation where I'm in peace. I have to go look at all the options. That'll happen here too. But it's not oh, look, I have a handful of cards and I have to look up certain contingencies having to do with each card. It's this sort of pulsed action thing. This may just be too heavy a game to handle it. Of course, I ran into that on a much lighter game, Virgin Queen. I felt like I had way too many choices, way too many things. I much preferred the simplicity of Here I Stand, and I don't think Virgin Queen's a bad game. I think that its mechanisms are beyond me, and I'm beginning to worry that this may be in the same way. Is that like my mind just cannot handle all the different choices I have. So what am I looking up? I'm looking up mercenaries. 17 and 25. Okay. They cost 2 more to recruit than a regular unit. So if I were to recruit 3 mercenary infantry, that would cost me 9. So here I'm basically able to get a couple bucks off of it. And to jump it in when I'm under attack. Would be very useful, but I'm going to have to pay to keep this card. That starts throwing that price overhead. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of one of these. Do I want to hold one of these? Spain and England's technologies. They don't have any. I'm going to get rid of this too. Again, I just don't know if it's worth paying for. And to get these guys face up, they're not going to cost me. So what am I doing? I don't know. I once again read this little thing here. Discard up to 3 action cards. That's 3. Then draw 1 card fewer from any of the action decks. Military Traditions is going to give me a couple of combat bonuses, and then being able to grab a general. I don't even know if this is worth it, but discarding the cards may be the better thing. I'm going to take I get to pick them in order. I'm going to take a diplomacy. I'm looking for a subjugate. I will go with another diplomacy. New alliance. Remove 2 cubes. We've seen these before. From the target NPR, add 2 of your own. Then if you and the target are at peace and you have the most, you gain an alliance in the area. Costs less if you have a spy network. That's nice. Of course, it still costs 3 to play this card. All right. And now what am I allowed to do? I may then pay $2 to pick one of the new cards from the top, one of the new. I don't know what they mean by that. Because mine aren't getting discarded and there are no new cards here. So I would be able to buy a leader. I could not buy an admin leader, so let's stop looking at those. I could buy me a military leader. What kind of leader? You may pay $1 and $2 to pick one of the new cards from the top 5. Oh no, it doesn't have to be a leader. It could be... I don't know what the new cards are. Wait. I don't get the cards. Is that what it is? Discard up to 3. Then draw 1 card fewer than you discarded from any of the action decks. Okay, this doesn't make sense to me, man. Like the way it's worded, I don't get any of the cards that I discard. Well, the way it's worded sounds like it may intend that I don't get one of the new cards. I don't get a new card out of the ones that I just drew. But it doesn't say quite enough to say that. It says discard up to 3 action cards from your hand, add them after completing this action, then draw 1 card fewer than you discarded from any of the action decks. Draw seems to mean go into your hand, but then you may pay to pick one of the new cards from the top 5 discards, as if I was supposed to draw them and immediately discard them. And then, you know, a way to cycle the cards, and then I'd pick one and take it. I don't think that's what it says. Let's see. The example doesn't tell me anything. I'm going to read it as I pick one of the top 5 discards if I want it, and I can buy it. And I do get my cards back. Although this seems like a hugely powerful action, man, which is why I'm not sure, but you're only allowed once per turn. Okay, so tactical retreat, I'm not thrilled with that. Superior tactics. Okay. I don't think I'm going to take either of these, but I got to look. Because I've got money. This is going to cost me 2 to get in play. You know what? Chicken butt. I'm going to buy this. No, I need the 2 military for that. Can't buy that. So I'm screwed. I would have... I mean, maybe it's worth buying anyway because of the great leader, but I don't know. Okay. I'm not going to buy anything. I don't have the cubes for it. And that's the thing. You're dancing. Okay, and what do we got here? These all get discarded. Now, I may have taken 2 cards for free that I'm not supposed to get. I can't play this yet. It feels like I was moving kind of quickly before, and now I'm back to the, oh my God, I've got to work through everything one step at a time. Some of that may be that I went to sleep, you know, but some of it is just, man, I'm facing new elements that I hadn't been experiencing and hadn't gotten kind of used to. And I think that's going to happen in cycles. Like, there's so much rules in here, and all of it is procedural. Therefore, I will regularly be looking things up in the game and never really free to play the game well. When you get to a really procedural game, sometimes I complain that the rule books are procedural. Honestly, it's the game that's procedural and the rule book is forced into being that. There's no other option. There's nothing that's just sort of an intuitive, you know, some of the times there are, like rolling battle dice and stuff like that, I can get used to. But then there's other large aspects of the game that can only be expressed with that procedural rulebook. I had that same kind of problem with Axis Empires. Clearly, you know, the key is if there are a lot of steps in the game that are very, very procedural, you'll remember a few of them. There's a heavy burden to that. But if you're like me, most of the game ends up obscured from your memory. And that means you can't think strategically about it anymore. The unsaid thing, of course, being a lazy person who doesn't like having to work too hard at a game, I work too hard a couple of times and I feel like, hey, I need a rest. And I'll be gone for at least an hour, you know? And that not only slows down the amount of time that I end up playing the game, where I'm drawn in and I'm excited and I want to see what's going to happen and I want to get to the end of the round and play through that and load up another video and all that, right? But I also really need to get away. I'm exhausted from both the mental aspects and the blathering about them. But by having to walk away, it becomes even harder. You know, every time I come back, it becomes harder to assess the situation. We had that in Vietnam, where I knew the game well enough to know how to do the things, you know, the 80% of the game that I needed to know all the time, even after walking away. But what I didn't understand was how to, you know, I didn't have a way to remember the game state, because I keep walking away, and that's problematic. Here I find the game state not that terribly hard to assess, which is a very good thing, except for where, you know, I lose track of cards or something like that. But, wow. All right. My addictions hit pretty badly. I lost at least one day, maybe more. I don't even know anymore. And my sleeping schedules are so fucked up because of it. But I wanted to try to come up here. I was expecting the die to be over here. I see it there. I'm going to trust that and say I probably left partway through a turn. I don't remember, but it doesn't seem that partway through a cycle. I read subjugation wrong. This was one of the things that was that I think sent me down and away from the game and hiding in my addiction. There's two possible values here. If you have a royal marriage, your tax base has to be greater than the target's. If you don't have a royal marriage, your base has to be greater than twice. Now, I calculated at the first, but let's re-look. So this is $12. I'm close, I think. I don't remember what I had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I thought we were at 13. If it's 11, I can just do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So I have to do something to improve my income. Now, getting control, getting the Reconquista completed will get me to that level. And the best answer I can come up with is 1 military and 2 money. That may mean I don't have enough money to do it this turn, but with my armies exhausted, now I could pay to unexhaust them. Replenish manpower is a minor action. That would cost me a military to get 3 units back. I have had 2 cubes. Shit, I just don't know if I can do it. See, my army is here. So 1 cube gets me in an attack. If I win the battle, then I get a cube back. This will help me to win the battle. I can either use innovative tactics, which gives me 4 extra battle dice, which would be helpful. And I'm a numerical advantage because there's only 2 dice for Granada. Another option would be I could spend 2 of these cubes and nothing else. Oh no. Oh shit, this costs a military cube though to do. Yeah, I'm just fucked. But I can pull one more out of the admin to get me doing a repurposing or redesign the goals or whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, I'm just leaving it as is. Because even if I can't do it this round, I can delay a little bit. That'll put me over to the English. Obviously, I don't like fucking up in any game. There's something about this one that makes it so painful. You know, if I'm playing a Euro and I fuck shit up, I eventually just say, well, screw it. I'll just start making decisions, so like Agricola and whatever. And I'm just like, well, the hell with it. And but with something like this, or really anything that I have a strong connection to the storyline, you know, the Axis Empire stuff is a good example of that. It's especially galling to me. And I don't know if that affects, so I think that affects my liking of the game in the sense that, like, okay, if I succeed in fighting through and manage to internalize everything and it all works, it's not that bad. I put more effort in, and if I can't reach the barriers, it hurts all the more. And, you know, it leaves me with this kind of, well, this is not a game for me. Even though I might respect what's going on, I know that my head can't handle it. England, things are pretty easy. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've already won the battles there, so I'm going to spend 2 cubes for activating 2 of these units in order to siege. And I'll put these markers there. And I get a couple of these in play. I don't think the rules tell you to use these guys for this, but the thing is, if you take from here, you'd be getting tax income off of them, and they also don't say put a cube or anything, I think. I don't recall. This is the mechanism that I'm using. It seems to make the most sense. Otherwise, there's no reason for all these extra pieces. Unless maybe I'm mistaken about something. Maybe there's a counter that says you went over. Something seems to remind me of that. Ah, fuck. This game is just like, there's just so much to remember. And it is this Euro-style situation, both the rule book, and which makes it harder on me, and the play itself. And it's like, you know, if I remember a rule like that in a rule book that's not filled with lots of colored pictures, this one's laid out okay, which I found surprising. But one that's not filled with lots of colored distractions and everything, I can usually remember where to look for something. Here, I have almost no idea. I'm gonna go try to look it up because the index is so good in this, though. It's about 80%, which isn't perfect, you know, by any means. Like, A World at War has a truly astounding index, given how big that game is. My suspicions are correct. I think you are supposed to take it off and put a cube in play. This is a shortcut that I'm going to keep doing, but what I found here is if you run out of large ones, you can put 2 small ones on a large city, and that ends up working out the same. If you run out of small ones, you get the +20 income tile and put the remaining 20 towns on. The +20s are these guys, and they give you the extra manpower as well. So that's why I didn't remember those. Yeah, it's in the rules, but, you know, again, but I did remember at least that there was something there. I'm going to continue with this mechanism, like I said, because I do feel that it works for me, which is I can use it. Once somebody gets too big, you know, obviously I can't, but I can just use these excess. They aren't going to be producing income while they're towns. Now, I think that there's somewhere where it says I take one from the map and I put a cube down for it. this is fine. Playing in conjunction with my addiction. What I'm doing is probably the best case scenario that I can manage, which is I've got my computer game running. It takes a couple of minutes to go through a run, 5 minutes, which happens to align kind of nicely with what it takes to take a single player action. So, I run down the stairs on my way down, to go do that. Sometimes I have to stick around and do some more stuff on the computer. I could be playing up here if I hadn't eaten the table that went with that computer. There are a number of reasons not to. Anytime I turn that computer on, it is an emotional journey. Anytime I see it, anytime I am anywhere in this house or anywhere else that's not glued to my computer or fixated on a board game or whatever. But it would also be making noise, or I'd have to set something up so it's not making noise. I found it really kind of irritating when I was playing some of the NBS stuff while I was running it. It was like, I would move a couple pieces and have to run and go do something. Of course, those were much, much shorter runs on the computer. Austria, this is going to be an expensive one. I am going to have to... I have an administrative power that I could use to develop provinces. That could help get me there, but I've got to go to war. So, I'm going to pay a military cube to declare war. That means, again, I have to check the declare war sequence, because there was stuff hiding in here from my point of view. Nobody's allied, except I have a marriage, but... Okay, but the disputed marriage, I think, puts everybody into some sort of position with regard to this. That's what I was looking for. Is that what it's called? Disputed succession, 22 and 32. The damn glares. Okay, first let's look at... Yeah, and I know it's fun to watch me do this. Okay. When a disputed succession is triggered, figured marriage, all flip marriage token provides a casus belli from all players. The token's owner, though, takes a problem. Page 22 says the casus belli for all players, and I lost. I hope that's the other. If you have a marriage with the target, this CB allows you to declare war even during an interregnum, or if the target is your ally. Okay, I don't think anyone can oppose an Austrian attack on Hungary. I don't think it provides a casus belli to defend the current marriage. Unless you had an alliance with the Hungarians. So, okay. What I was going to do was a declaration of war. Let's look at the declaration of war list again. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I know I was looking for the one thing, but I never trust. And again, it's procedural, and it's this long list. So it's painful for me. Okay. Did we get everything? There's an asterisk. Asterisk. All my cubes will be removed, which sucks. Okay. So, I pay, that's here. I lose my cubes, that's 2 cubes I'm losing. I'm going to put them here for now. I'll probably have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with them. I got to build an army. There's no automatic battles triggered because I don't own anything in Hungary. My battle, though, I have no cards that are going to help me in fighting. I looked through my hand. I don't have anything here. I'm just trying to see. Oh, wow. Have 9 or more forces. Did anybody have that? Yeah, they probably don't anymore. England built their army, but they only have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They were 1 short. Okay. And here I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, but okay, I can't bring the Holy Roman Empire into this. Do I have any other allies? I don't see any on the board. Okay. What am I doing? I'm thinking about building these forces. I could make Frederick my king. He's kind of nice, so I kind of don't want to. I could put him in battle. He only gets me 1 die, which is pretty iffy. The cost for troops for me, there's nothing special. I go look for that chart. And I can't build artillery. Cav isn't going to really help me. So it's going to be infantry, which are $2 each. But I don't have a lot of bucks. Unfortunately, I have the money here, but I didn't put the loans in here. That was kind of dumb of me. All right. I don't have a lot of money. I definitely build those 2. Yeah, I've got cubes all over the fucking place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to be facing a 3 and a 2 and wow. Oh boy. We're going to this war not so much because we have to win it, but because we have to fight it, or else we're going to lose prestige, which we don't want to do. Although it might be worth it. I feel like we're doing things painfully here. All right, so I look for my loans, and I don't see them here. Are they over here? Yes, they are over here. Okay. 2 loans seems like an incredible expense for this. 1 loan would get me 2 troops. 2 loans would get me everything. I have a decent number of military actions, so I might be able to actually gain something. I hate taking out 2 loans, though. That's $10. There's 8. Do I need this big an army? What if I only had 2 more? Yeah, let's go small. Let's go small. So I have $5 more in hand. There's 4 of it. There's $1. I put it all in the same army. Now, I'm not allowed to move. I don't get a cube back because I didn't fight a battle. And these cubes all go away, and I put a war marker pointing wrong kind of war. That's the peaceful kind, up to there. And we go to the poles. It's burden time again. The poles. I'm so glad somebody pointed this out, but they have military tokens. Might be worth holding tokens and whatnot. I don't know. It was what I kind of had resigned myself to. But I'm not going to be able to defeat the knights. Recover from Varna requires an alliance that I don't have yet. But I can do a repositioning of... Now, I wouldn't want to do this right away because I won't be able to research tolerance if I do get it. But and I'd rather hold and trigger it for that. Does it make sense to hold off or not? That's an interesting question. Yeah, but I have this central authority card that I could play instead. So I was thinking to reorder state goals or whatever, to try to do diplomacy and set myself up for that other card. But I have to deal with the defeat of the knights as well. Yeah, the spy network too. That might not be bad. Get that out. Get this out. Let's play the spy network because I can do that in one action. Trade is so unlikely to do me any good. Although, if I did hit, it would be fantastic. And that'll get me the 4 cubes for this. So I get to evade the burden for a little bit. Oh, is this the one I want to put? Because maybe I want peace more than Juan Jose. You know what? I'm going to, yeah, chicken butt. I'm going to put this here. Do I want to buy him for 2? I have time to think about that. That'll move me around to the Turks. Thought I avoided the ugliness of another lookup of a big procedural thing for the polls, and I did. I went and watched some videos while my game played itself. Not just itself. I used my own time there. But now with the Turks, I'm looking at my cards and saying, well, I don't want to have to pay to keep cards, but I don't want to throw them away, obviously. I don't have a whole hell of a lot of cash on hand. I think these are all 1s. No, those are 5s. I have a whole hell of a lot of cash on hand. Okay, so that maybe isn't as important as I thought. I was looking at, well, I can't buy my military advisor here who would be really potent for $4. Actually, I can. However, I still think this is a good move to get rid of a card and flash things on. In order to do this, though, I need 2 admin over here. Now, it also requires an administrative total from the ruler of at least 3, but I have that. So I have a hell of a leader here. Let's look at my other cards, see if there's anything that I'd want to play for its event. Not really. Is there anything I want to do? Yeah, I probably want to trade, to tell you the truth. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a reorganization to get a cube over here. And because it's something I'm not familiar with, I look for it again. The change national focus. Increase a monarch power by up to 2. Discard up to 3 cards, add them to the discard pile after completing the action, then draw 1 card fewer than you discarded from any of the action decks. And then you can pay to pick one of the new cards from the top 5 discards of the deck. I don't know. That's just worded so horribly. I don't know what's intended by that. This feels almost overpowered, but it feels underpowered if you buy. This part of it, at least, feels underpowered. But moving the cubes around is pretty important. You may pay 1 royal power and money to pick a card. So, the whole thing is, what does it mean to draw, right? Because over here, and this may just be this may be having not a terrible focus on what's going on. Somewhere here, there was I don't know, someone had a card that led me to think otherwise, where it said, draw 2 cards and keep one of them. which is very different from like, it sounds like exactly the same thing as draw 2 cards and discard one of them, right? And if it weren't for this situation where there's like this weird question running around this, like you discard up to 3, then draw 1 card fewer than you discarded from any of your action decks. You can pay to pick one of the new cards, and if it didn't say from the top 5 discards, I would assume that I'm paying to keep one of the cards that I just drew. But this looks like a separate thing. So anyway, I don't know. It is just driving me fucking batshit. Stop there. Okay, so I put the cube here. I was going to move a military into the admin space. That's the big deal. I discard up to 3 cards from my hand. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I want the exceptional year. That's the one I want to trigger. It allows me to clear this up. Sure, it's occupied right now and we're not at peace, but I can still clear the unrest and grab the money from that. I'm very tempted to hold on to Alexander. These other cards, are they so terribly helpful? I don't think so. I mean, yeah. The new cards in the discard would be these, except they're exempted, and you wouldn't want to buy your own cards back. So I'm going to throw those 3. And what am I going to draw? I'm going to draw a, oh geez, I don't know. This I'm going to be working towards. Owner vassalized Constantinople, and at least one of these 3. Oh, I didn't have to attack them all. Athena, Moria, and what's the other one? Shit. Or Naxos. Naxos is going to be an island. Yeah, I wouldn't have had enough to do. I had enough to barely pull that off. Okay. Stupid me. And have all your armies deployed. Well, that's not going to happen in the near future. Okay. So it sounds to me like I have to go to war again. So I'm going to draw a military first. I assume I draw 1 at a time still. Military tradition. I like this card. I'm not going to be able to keep it. I'm not going to be able to use it right now. And I'll draw an admin. Right? I don't know. I'm not going to be able to, like, I'm going to have to pay to keep cards, and I'm already keeping 1. Do I want to keep another one? Let's pull a diplomacy, because I've got a cube for trade if I want it, but maybe I get something good. I get a subjugate. Ooh, that could do good things. Okay, and here's my other one. I'm not able to buy a card because I'd have to blow my diplomatic power, and then I'd have to hold the card. It's just not worth it. So we'll throw these out. This is our new hand. I could buy my leader now. I don't wish to yet. There's no reason. We move the die on. Take themselves an easy turn. They play their military tradition. I hope that's what I intended. Not positive. Never am anymore. Okay, for the Spaniards, you know, I keep working towards this, trying to get Aragon into play. And I think, well, I got to do the Reconquista to get it. Not for the events from the Reconquista, but for the extra money power. But Subjugate has other requirements that I was also working towards, which is you have to discard cubes from the vassal equal to the target's base value. If I play Man of the Church, that'll cost me an admin. Oh, that's okay. Admin is okay. Yeah. All right, so we're going to do what we were going to do, which is try to move a cube into, oh shit. What's the cost of replenishing manpower costs military. Are we good enough? Do we have any generals? We do not. We'd be putting 3 into 2. I mean, we've got to go for it. Okay. We've got to go for it. So we also will play a cube. Are we going to be able to fire the subjugate off this round? Yeah. I don't know. So, cost is to declare war. That costs the 1 that I have. That builds, I'm allowed to build additional army. I don't have any. I'm able to move in here and attack. I do have that. I have military reforms. I could increase my battle tech, or I can't afford 2. I could refresh my manpower more cheaply and actually permanently gain an army. Intriguing. That only costs 1, and that kind of solves some of my issues. So wait, what do I have? I have 1 to move in. I could move another 1 there, or maybe 2. It's going to cost me 2 to siege, because I do not have cannons. So 1 to move in, fight the battle, I get a cube back. 2 to siege, that uses up this. If I wanted 1 for one of these 2 events, I would have to do that ahead of time. Fuck. And I don't want to increase my manpower after I declare war, because then it won't help me. So I have to figure that out. So cube is not being played yet. Well, I wouldn't be declaring war yet. Let us simply increase our manpower. I can refresh 6 permanently. Well, this would have been the same cost as doing a refresh manpower, except I get one of these little markers. I don't know where I put it. I'll put it up here, I guess. I don't know. And that's going to give me an extra army here. And I hope that's all I want to do. Just spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get that the English could get the full cabinet advantage. But that's one of these missions, I think they're called, milestones. And it's not available. It's an admin one, an economic one that's in phase 1 but not available. Full cabinet's kind of nice. I'm a little confused by it. If I look at the mission or milestone, let's see where it is. There it is. Okay, if I look at this, have a ruler, a general admiral, and one of each type of advisors employed at the same time. Must be scored on your own turn. Looks like all it gives you is maybe +2 cubes? Or does it give you +2 admin capability? But I think it's just cubes. But I'm a little disturbed because I don't know. I don't know what any of these do then. Like this is just, it gives you some money. So I think these are just cubes that it gives you as a bonus. It gives you a prestige. Okay, that's great. And it gives you, and I'm not sure the technologies give prestige to additional people who get them. Maybe that's just the milestones. They look the same, so I kind of start equating them, but I'm not so sure that the techs give you I'm sorry, ideas they're called, or in this instead of tech. But what's not on here is the full cabinet counter, which gives you an extra royal marriage. So, it's time to test out the index again and look to see if that's here. It is not. Like I said, about 80%. So what I want to look for is marriage or royal marriage, 12 and 32. You can have a maximum of 3. The cabinet idea allows for 1 more. That should really... Oh, no, this is not an idea. This is a milestone. So I don't know where the cabinet idea is. Is that over here? I would think it would be here, actually. Okay, so that is also not available. Absolutely not something that I'm aiming for particularly here. So, given that, I'm not going to particularly aim for that. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I want to do. Like with a Euro, it's as if every fucking decision is so absolutely like, you have to go into it and you have to think and you have to balance all kinds of things at once. I just don't feel... I feel like I'm playing... I don't know what. I certainly don't feel like I'm playing the old EU at all. And of course, this is designed off the computer game. But I also don't feel like I'm playing the computer game because in the computer game, the computer takes care of all the stuff and makes sure you don't cheat. You might screw things up, but in general, it's pretty easy. Like, things just sort of pop up and tell you, do this, as opposed to, and then you can refuse to do that, as opposed to like, oh, look, there's all this stuff available to you. At least that's my memory. Again, I played the older ones earlier more. So I could get a colonial marker. I haven't discovered the new world. What are they going to colonize? I don't know, maybe Ireland or something? They can't do anything, but I can create one. And that might be an interesting choice. The rest of the cards I have would require some kind of reorg of some sort. So I could get a royal marriage. I mean, sure. It's cheap. The reorg would let me get rid of some of this crap. Study a technology. Target an opponent adjacent to your realm and research one of their ideas. Oh. The only ideas would require me to... See, I'd have to pay 3 plus 1 more. And I do have a military, but I can't get 3 into diplomacy. So that's out of the question. Counter-espionage seems like a useful thing to be kicking around with you, but it's not really doing me much good. Kind of don't want to pass and just lose all these cards, which I'd have to do. I think I'm going to bank the refugees. I don't know what they're refugees from. Maybe from the Reconquista. Other options. I mean, there's certainly still some religious unrest and whatnot, and maybe we're allowing some in. But at the very least, this gives me something, even if I can't use it right away. So that's $2 and one of these cubes, and we actually just put the cube there, and that is going to confuse the living shit out of me, but there we go. Built me a big old army, I might as well use it, right? In order to use it effectively, I have to understand how peace works. Peace is something that I've done very seldomly, and not yet in this game. So we shall look to see what the requirements for a partial victory are. Deployed land units outnumber the deployed land units of their enemy by 2 to 1. Okay, that's for a player. Deployed land units outnumber the total number of manpower in their areas plus any deployed land units. I don't know how they get... Oh, bot enemies will get deployed land units. I don't know how an NPR gets them. So how much manpower would be? I mean, Hungary is not small. Hungary is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 2, 4, 6. A couple of sieges, I might be able to absorb Royal Hungary. Is that good enough? I don't know. And I would be able to choose most victory conditions, including ones that don't necessarily give me an absorption. Do we want to move at this point? See, we have these military reforms, which would be really awesome, right? Oh, did somebody fucking play that? The French played one, didn't they? No, they played military traditions. Excellent. Because military reforms comes with a stability loss to it. It's not as... It looks like the same card, but not as good. Excuse me, Cav, veterans, and military. No, this doesn't allow me to innovate or anything. Yeah, so we'll hold on that. It's not a good idea to reform just before battle, although it does give me the dice, but the biggie is that it gives this. Somebody did the increased manpower, didn't they? Is that Spain that did that? They did military reforms. Oh, stupid Spain, stupid Spain. Lost a point of stability there. Okay. That's what happens when you don't read. I can play that. I have Man of the Church, which could be very, very useful. I'm not sure which way to do it, but it means that I don't really want to shift that. But I think I can hold on that. That's not going to help me terribly much right now. So, since I'm all set up for it, I'm going to spend a military power to march. Do I want an extra die? I think so. Do I have another king? That's a big issue. I don't. It would suck if I die for the sake of a die, but I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to appoint him the general. I don't have a general. If I did, I would just... If I did, I would have a king in hand. And that would be approximately equivalent. Okay. This gives me the ability to march, and I will move into just here. That sets off a battle. There are 3 enemies. I grab the dice. One nice thing, the Eastern board, because I'm not using most of it and I'm not allowed to, will remain a clear space all the time. That's going to get used. Okay, so the Austrians are going to get 4 dice. I get 2 of these. I think it's if my opponent rolls that I get a casualty. Battles, battles, wounded generals. For each player that a player rolls, any enemy general gets a heart, a broken heart. So I did 2 hits. That I should mark this way. And my enemy is going to get 3 dice. It's still dangerous. He gets 2 hits as well. Putting those there. Will he retreat? It's a good question. I think he does. Couldn't retreat from Brittany, but before this can happen, each side has the option to retreat. Ugh, fuck. Okay. There's got to be a thing on NPRs retreating. Oh, that light is really 27 and 28. Okay, the next die over. That's going to be naval retreat. Huh. Non-player realms. Okay, this is not good. I thought there were rules right here that tell me each side has an option. The attacker first, then the defender, if both continue fighting. This is not good at all. Okay, I have to look. Because I thought the NPRs retreat automatically if they're not in their capital. So I didn't look up NPRs. There's warfare versus NPRs, which tells you this. This is where we're going to see it. When an NPR is at war, they'll defend as usual. The NPR will defend their areas with a number of infantry equal to their MC. Oh, shit, shit, shit. They have more troops. 3, they have 5. They have 2 extra units. Okay. Give them 2 more. Those 2 areas are adjacent. So I've got 5 units remaining. That may have an influence on the retreat, and I should not be at war with them. This is horrible. Okay. The NPR will always defend with a number of infantry equal to their MC. These units all appear in the area under attack. If there are units hostile to your NPR already in the area you are moving into, no battle is triggered. Okay. Still not seeing it. That was defending areas. NPR behavior. They act as infantry and land. If they're only NPR and they have a total of 3 or more units, draw a card from the top of the military deck at the start of the battle, and they get a leader. Oops. Okay, so they got 3 more infantry dice. Oh, poor Austria. Okay, so that's 2 more hits on the Austrians. And only 1 was a double unit. Okay. The Hungarian army, which is quite powerful in this era. It really actually is. So I'm kind of glad it's not a rollover, but it looked like it was. This is how you learn the rules, right? If the card has an advisor, the NPR has no leaders. If the card has a leader, the battle dice as if any other. Battle dice are then as rolled as normal. The player to the right should roll beyond the first round. NPRs will always retreat if they have fewer units than their enemy after a round of battle, unless they're defending their capital. Okay. So, does Austria want to stick around with their king and 2 units facing a much stronger force with more dice? The answer is no, we don't, and we're screwed. We will retreat back into Austria in disgrace. These all go away. They don't just stay there, but they would be regenerated. Let's see if I have anything I can do to fix this. Not that. I do not. I'm just screwed. Okay. We'll leave it as is because it's just going too far back to try to repair things once I realize. And a new player could easily make this kind of mistake. The lucky thing is the NPR doesn't turn around and attack me back, which would not be an unreasonable thing. But it might hear. It might invade. Ow! Is that before or after peace? Step 3B. That is before peace. So we could lose this war to Hungary. Or at least be in a bad position in regard to it. Okay, well, live and learn, right? Don't pick on big things. Which, if I was playing the old EU, I would just know intrinsically, right? But here, the rules are all scattered all over the place in terms of like, you know, it's not an obvious thing. It's nice that it works this way. It sucks that I have to basically destroy a player, or at least a player position in this early stage for a little bit, in order to find out. Yeah, don't do stupid things. Like I would look at this and say, Hungary versus Austria. If I was in EU, I would say, well, what's the Hungarian army? It's probably lower tech, because I probably wouldn't declare war unless I had gotten cannons already. And of course, I'm in a later period, in what's closer to the second period, I think, in this game to start the old Europa Universalis. But it's hard to tell, right? Like there's so many ages in that. There's 4 ages in this, and it runs from 1444 to 1821. So I would say each era feels like about 100 years. So this may actually blur a little bit into the beginning. This may include the first period at the end of this era in it. But yeah. Now, with the Turks, so in EU, and I know this is the same name, but in the old EU board game, and I hate having to do that again and again, Hungary has one army. It might have some detachments and whatnot, but you can only have 2 units in a battle. So it has one army that is kind of potent. It has a lot of cav and everything. It's kind of like the Poles. The Poles have 3 armies, though, as a non-player area. Austria has like up to, I think, 6. They're not going to have 6 on the board at this point in the game. But they probably will have 2 or 3 armies that they can raise up if they're going to fight. And so they can kind of outmaneuver the Hungarians because, and that kind of works here. The Hungarians have one army when they're facing one invader, but they have multiple armies if they're facing, you know, an invasion on multiple fronts. But here, this had to be attacked. All right, well, that was kind of depressing for Austria, but too bad, as General Lee would say. Let's go over to Poland. Actually find that fuck up as liberating. And start saying, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to play this the same way I would a Euro when faced with this kind of, you know, I can't handle the overload, and just try to get the rules right, but not necessarily ahead of time, because just trying to balance everything out and figure out everything out ahead of time, man, that's just beyond me. I don't play Euros. I don't play the heavy Euros for that reason. And, you know, I just feel too much like I'm balancing cubes and shit like that, and not enough like I'm just playing an intuitive game that yeah, maybe I got to look up to see how something happens, but I can. Now, of course, maybe I should be playing intuitively and say, oh shit, I can't face hungry. But I thought I could because I'm stupid. And seeing what Austria just did, gasps in horror and decides I'm going to pass and take $5. There are other things I could do. I could fiddle around with cubes and whatnot. But you know, $5 is, there isn't much I could do. I have another spy network I could play. I have this central authority I could try to aim for. I would really like to get that. But my cubes are in military. I'm not great at military. Is there anybody I want to lay down before I do that, though? There is. $2 for him. Remember, these are free actions. I can do this with a pass. I already took the money for the pass, but that's no big deal. $2 for him. Now I'm going to have to pay again for him at the end of the turn, but okay. And an admin guy for $2. I'll keep him in my hand. That's the one card I really want to keep. I grab my cash. That's the first pass. We're getting, you know, to the point where the end is now kind of in sight, but it doesn't cause anything yet, right? This is still here, and people have to okay, what is this 3-2 and stuff like that? I don't know what those costs are because they're divided up. I think it's number of players. I think if you're in like 4 or more players, you take this, but I'm not sure because this creates $1 each. So let's look at the impacts of the pass again, as usual. Passing. First player to pass collects money. Passing takes a turn. You can take a man or action in that turn. When there are no more players eligible to receive ducats for passing. Now this is weird. I'm in 6 players, so the 4th player gets ducats. Yeah, this is just telling you this chart is much more useful than what's on there. But in 6 players, it goes 5, 3, 2, 1, which is everything's maximum. Now this is a little weird because this says 4th plus, which seems to indicate that everybody who passes after that is going to get something. Honestly, they're not. The 4th player, according to that chart, gets $1. No one else does after that. And when that 4th player passes, that's when it triggers the end of the sequence of rounds. And to move further in the sequence of play. See, the game is divided into ages, each of which consists of 4 rounds. Each round is broken into 5 phases. Yeah, the 4 rounds, though, 2 of them are early deck, 2 of them are late deck. So yeah, it's kind of weird. And the rounds, to me, are really the heart of them is the action phase, but this whole thing is really a round. So there we go. So the end of the rounds is the right term. But anyway, we're coming to the point where people are willing to say, yeah, I'm done. I can't do anything too valuable anymore. I don't know. I think I had something else, but like I said, I'm stupid now. Let's send this up because we have eaten up a good deal of video space here again. And it's really this, I feel like everything, like when playing a Euro, I feel like I have to describe the thinking on everything until I've gotten to a point where the mechanisms of play are so clear to me that the narrative starts shining through. That's not happening. That never happens for me in Euros. It makes sense in Euros because there may be no narrative, right? There's just cube pushing for the most part. Sometimes there's a sort of an abstract thing, but, for the most part, it's very hard to find and link to the narrative. And some of the older Euros were better linked, but, nowadays, They just don't tend to be. But I'm having that same kind of problem here, where, yeah, I mean, I can stand back and I can find the narrative afterwards. I can be like, Austria's fucked. Turkey gained something, England gained something. Other people are kind of struggling to get stuff done, but maybe still can. Austria is the only one who's truly screwed here. And that was a beautiful screwage. And it's kind of cool because I kind of feel like Austria probably shouldn't be a player. So we may be bringing the Ruskies in. If the Russians come in the game, whatever time, whatever, they'll be, yeah, see, it's hard because you can't, there's no setup, I think, for each age. Let's take a peek at the scenarios and see what we could do, because you could definitely set the game up in 1618 for someone, although by that point. So let's see what scenarios we have. 1444, 1492. Interesting. Scenario starts with the second half of the age. Now, what it won't do is this is Portugal, Castile, England. This will just be a Western map indication of what's going on. But that's in age 1. So I would say that's probably halfway through the deck, is the 1492. It's 10 rounds. 1511, again, you know. So these guys are showing some kind of circumstances. Other things are, you know, I think you could even bring some. I think you can bring someone in certainly at the end of an age, but maybe at the halfway point even, if somebody is so wiped. You know, like a Russia could come in, and it wouldn't be terrible. It's beginning to feel like me tinkering with empires of the Middle Ages to try to get something interesting. It wouldn't be too terrible because, especially right now, you have the 1444 setup. You may just assume that they didn't grow from that. Anywhere that's not Russia is very easy to bring in the game, because if any events happen, you know, if Denmark starts capturing Sweden and you want to play Sweden, that's not going to be, you know, you're going to have changes being made. Of course, finding the king or whatever might be difficult. The bubonic plague. 1618. That's the other side. Another 1444. This is a solo one on the expansion of Brandenburg, I think. No, that's the bubonic plague. The ambitions of the Margrave. Yeah, the expansion of Brandenburg. It was pointed out to me that, now that I'm mentioning Brandenburg again, that the elector, that Brandenburg was an electorate going back to the Golden Bull. And yes, I should have known that. The problem I had was, I remember the Great Elector, which, but there were electors before that. But it's often referred to as the Margravate, so I don't know. And then there's all this. All right, let's look at it. But obviously I could find other starting points. Okay, these big ones are getting harder. Napoleon, 1783. Yeah, that's getting a little far. Here I stand, 1515. That is probably the beginning of era 2. I don't know what the Purple Phoenix. Oh, this is a Play the Byzantines. God, they've got what looks like make your own card things. so you'd probably want to photocopy that or something. Glory for Ulm. Ulm is the player. This is funny because you could play a game, Ulm's, an after-action comic about Ulm's exploits in Europa Universalis 3 left a growing online community in its wake. Yeah, so, I mean, basically, you can, when you're playing the computer game, you can take a little tiny area and through clever play and some luck, you can actually end up quite powerful. And apparently this is some kind of homage to that. And then that's it. So yeah, it would be hard to find the starting positions in general. But certainly I wouldn't mind, like, if Austria is truly hosed, I wouldn't mind swapping Russia in for them. But I don't feel like they're that hosed. This is just a horrible setback. And they may not be able to win, but you know what? You've got a simple prestige track here. It may cause... So one of two things can happen if Austria becomes weak. One is Poland and the Ottomans and France may gain all kind of advantages on them and pretty much dismember them. And that would be sort of the historical Polish situation. Another is that what is it? That people end up not hitting them, not letting them get away with stuff. Certainly stuff that's easy, but of course they tried to get away with something that, no one really gave a shit about at this point in the game. Hey, Poland was kind of considering, is there anything I want to do about this? Nah. But yeah, they kind of got away. They'll kind of be able to, if they understand what's safe and what's not, to be able to pad themselves with points safely. They won't be a threat to anyone, and so they might be able to slip under the radar and regain some power and certainly some prestige, just because people don't bother too much. However, that's a lot more likely to happen in games like... We always like to go wander and find the games. I'm looking for... things like Soldier King here, and it's sort of that are very, very lightweight games that really allow people to cut deals however they want. There are definitely a fair number of games that are kind of like this, and some of them are on sort of the sillier side. And that probably comprises that of the hobby, where you're like, who cares? Let them gain some ground again. Make good deals with them. Make deals that are better for them than for you, because they're not in the running, and yet or anymore or whatever, and you're able to. Get a gain, a foot up on other people. And honestly, I can remember situations like that happening in things like Pax Britannica, where you have kind of this freedom to make alliances and whatnot. And those alliances can be very helpful, but they can also serve to prevent stuff from happening that you don't want to happen. So yeah, I helped Italy come in second as Britain, because why not? It was actually one of my earlier games before I realized Britain can just say no to everyone.